Good evening, Cowboys. It's me, Kira. Today we are going to talk about Lonesome. Calm it, Susan Pettigrew. It's there on the bin to prop up the camera. But honestly, maybe some people might have said that to me to calm it down, because the first part of Lonesome Dove I hated. Truth be told, I hated every single minute of this book, because ultimately what we're doing is seeing the twilight years of Gus and Cal, two ex-Texas Rangers who are looking to settle down in life. Amidst the sweltering heat and the annoying pigs that Cal quite enjoys kicking from time to time, there is a dream on the horizon. It's the American dream. And who is to bring the American dream into the vision of these two elderly men? It's Jake Spoon. Something that has to be said about Jake Spoon is that not only is his namesake an indicator of how much of a tool this man is, but he has bad luck and bad vibes from the off. Jake is on the run because he has shot a dentist. He didn't mean to shoot the dentist. The only thing is the bullets don't really care where they're going. They don't really care what the target is, and a dentist just happened to be in the way. Cal and Gus and their troop within Lonesome Dove are aware of who Jake is. They know him from their past, and Jake advises that Montana is the place to be. Let's not do horses. It's the cows. The cows is where the American dream is at. And so Cal and Gus, wanting a better life for themselves in their old days, get convinced. And so after stealing a large number of horses, build up the money to begin cattle ranching in Montana. There are only two problems. One, they gotta get to Montana. They have to cross the plains. The second one is Jake Spoon's going to be joining them. I mean, ironically, he doesn't even want to go in the end. He has hooked up with the local whore, the prostitute, Loretta, who does have a soft spot for Gus, but Loretta has been swept under the guise of Jake Spoon. Around part one of Jake and Loretta end up in love and joining the corral. It's also where we see Jake beginning to drink a lot. Part one really is the setup. We meet everyone, we kind of understand why they're unhappy within the town of Lonesome Dove and how they are all convinced to move towards Montana. It's 250 pages. It's a lot of pages, and there's a lot of people to get your head around. Thus, with that knowledge, you might think part two is a little bit easier, but then you get introduced to July, Roscoe, June, and Elmira, and you begin to see that McMurtry's world is going to expand. July Johnson is the sheriff of Fort Smith, and this is where the dentist has been shot. July is on the case to put Jake Spoon behind bars, and so in setting off with his son, June leaves the town in the incapable, inexperienced, the greatest character, Roscoe, who just guffaws his way throughout, or he has no idea what is going on. And if things weren't hard enough in looking after a town after the sheriff has gunned off with his son, July's wife, Elmira, makes a break for it. She runs away. So Roscoe decides to go off to find Elmira, and things go wrong from the off. Ultimately, everything in these characters' lives go wrong. McMurtry shows the American dream in all its glory, in all its romanticized, beautified view, and then through the actions and adventures of the characters show how the American dream is ultimately a nightmare. There's a lot going on and there's a lot of characters. Now, there are two things that I need to say. First of all, in terms of the characters, McMurtry is very good at just giving you the information that you need. We don't go down long backstories of characters. We spend a lot of time in Lonesome Dove within part one, but as soon as more characters get introduced within part two, such as Blue Duck, Clara, Bigsway, is that how you say it? Bigsway? Well, I'm not entirely sure. You're only given the information that you need. The rest of it is pushing on the story. Secondly, McMurdy knows how to plot a story. You are saddled up, and as soon as you leave Lonesome Dove, it is an absolute train wreck from beginning to end. Everything that can possibly go wrong, everything that possibly can go wrong does go wrong. And even if it's a comedic way of Roscoe and his adventures with the greatest character, it's between Roscoe and Janie, the feral girl who has escaped sexual exploitation, or the grim realities of Gus and Cal's troop as they witness their horses being stolen, then being eaten, from experiencing nests of snake hidden within rivers to falling into bodies of water, being stripped naked by the sheer stream, and then being forced to make your way across the plains, having to resort to Po Campo's cooking, where bugs and molasses and using worms for butter seems to be the only thing of sustenance. We joke, but if there was a Po Campo cookbook, I would buy it. That man is the Gordon Ramsay of the American West. The American West, it has been idolized, it has been romanticized, but again, McMurdy allows the dream to be built up within the characters' heads only for us as the audience to see it all fall apart, to see it as the nightmare that it truly is. Now, I can see a lot of people saying that Lonesome Dove is problematic. I mean, all of the Indian tribes just scalp people, or they're scavengers, or they're bandits. They're not the greatest people. But you know who's worse than all of the Indians? It's Jake Spoon. I was so glad when he is culled from this, but how do you forget who Lorena is? How do you forget her? What is this man's problem? I'm no expert. I can't tell you if this is a good representation of the American West, but ultimately, it's hard. It's a hard life. And McMurdy does not shy away from that fact. Other westerns that I can compare it to that I have read, or modern interpretations of the western, would be Blood Meridian by Cormac McCarthy. I'm aware the Blood Meridian has been labelled an anti-western, but you know what? It's not a sci-fi book. It's more western than sci-fi, so lit bros, sit down. I would argue that Lonesome Dove is somewhat more horrifying and does a better job of representing the American West than Cormac McCarthy does within Blood Meridian. So much so, I would also say, again, it's better than All the Pretty Horses. Cormac McCarthy's shtick is ultra-violence. It's gore, and it's bloody, and it's in your face. It's there to shock the reader. Simultaneously, this is, and I can definitely see influence now having read Lonesome Dove, within Herman Diaz's In the Distance. However, Diaz does beautify the plains of America and leans into the pathology of the American dream. McMurdy really does lean into the slice of life and shows the hardship of living in the American West, the idea of pioneering the frontier. But I really need to get this off my chest, and all the books that I've referenced here, I've done reviews on, so I'll link them down below if you want to check them out. Remember Si Pam Zhang? The greatest scene, the opening of, what was it called? Like the hills have gold and they also have eyes. The dragging of the dead person is clearly, I refuse anyone to tell me anything else. It is clearly ripped off one of the most harrowing and heartbreaking moments within Lonesome Dove. And you know what? The more that I think about Si Pam Zhang's book, the more I hate it. I'm fully aware that people really like Si Pam Zhang's work, but after she DM'd me saying that I was just being horrendously callous, you know what? I don't care. That book, garbage. This book, however, Lonesome Dove, as soon as you get past part one, it is unputdownable. It is so compelling to read. It is Moorish in a wonderful way, but in a paradox, I don't really want to read the remainder of this series. Yes, Lonesome Dove is the third installment of the Lonesome Dove series, where we do have a sequel to this book and two prequels talking about Cal and Gus's lives as Texas Rangers. I'm somewhat not compelled to read it because Lonesome Dove is so rounded. It truly encapsulates everything that you want in a story. It advises who these people are through visiting various towns. We learn about the past of Cal and Gus, and ultimately we see, and this is the best part of Lonesome Dove, is that the American dream dies in front of these people's faces and causes ruin wherever it goes. Once we return to Lonesome Dove, we see that the damage has already been done. The American dream has eaten into everyone's lives, and no one is there for the better. Maybe I could subscribe to the idea of reading the other books within Larry McMurtry's. Maybe convince me down below. Convince me down below if I should. After part 1, this book gets better with every single page turn. Ripped through part 3 like my absolute life depended on it. It really is like watching a car crash. Like, you know nothing is going to improve with these guys' lives, and nothing does. It's truly a great feat. It's truly a great piece of storytelling, and if this is what you need to do to win the Pulitzer, by gosh, this is how you do it. This is like 101 how to write a absolutely great book. There are a lot of compliments that I can give this book, and if there's a better Western, I think I would be hard pressed to find it. This is what I wanted in a book. It is bleak and it is bliss. For me, Lonesome Dove, 8 out of 10. It is such a shame about part 1. It is such a shame how long that was.